Welcome to another episode of Moving Forward Talk with Diana. My guest tonight is Luzedy. Luzedy is a young lady who have also motivated me to continue to strive for excellence. Luzedy, please give us a short history of your background.
So my name is Luzedy Ocasio. I am 21 years old. I'm currently a registered nurse at local hospital here in town. I come from a Hispanic family. My mom and my dad are both from Puerto Rico. They migrated several years ago to New York, and I have my father himself. He is a very older gentleman. Today he's 70 years old. So when he got with my mom was like 20, he was like 40. So he had two older sons. And then when he met my mother, they had two kids, which was my brother, his name's Chris, and myself. But when I was about like 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, my parents separated, and my mom took me and brought me down here to Florida, and my dad stayed with my brother Chris. So far that's been kind of my life family dynamic ever since.
And before going any further, you mentioned that today is his birthday.
No, today is not his birthday. I'm just saying now he's 70.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so the goal for this platform is to motivate others to become proactive into shaping their future without putting limitation on their capability to do so. And some of the limitations that we allow to cripple us from shaping our future are, circumstances beyond our control. And as I was listening, so from the age of 8, you grew up or you were raised in a single parent home. Now, when we look at research, and I'm always doing research, I'm always doing something. When you look at research, and one of such circumstances that's beyond our control, I would say a risk factor, is being raised in a single parent home. And most of the research is actually will point out the negative effects. There are some positive, but most will point out the negative effects. Some of the negative effects are academic achievement, emotional effects, and lower level income homes. Because children who are from a single parent household are likely to have poor behavioral and cognitive outcomes. Now, being in a single parent home, and even though it wasn't from the beginning, it was from 8 years, and now you are 21. How did that impact you based on what research says about individuals who were raised in a single parent home?
Well, definitely growing up in a single parent household, it really has had some effects on me, especially like educational wise, because one of the things I mentioned also was that my family, they're from Puerto Rico. So the fact that my mom raised me as a single, woman, she also is a Spanish speaker. So growing up in a house with just my mom who only speaks Spanish, it kind of did make my life, especially in school, just a little bit more difficult, because I really didn't have someone to come home to and be like, hey, can you help me with this? Or can you talk me through this? Because as much as she could have wanted to help me, she really couldn't in that aspect. And one of the things I would say, my mom, although she did raise me on her own, she did a really great job raising me. I never went hungry, always had a roof on my head, and she taught me what I needed to know in order to excel in school and to do what God had in store for me. You know,
Mhm.
my mom, like I mentioned before, she really couldn't help me with certain things, and it did make like my journey in school a little bit difficult, because when it came to like college applications or it came to applying for financial aid, my mom herself, she didn't have a college education, she didn't go to school and stuff. So not only did I have that risk factor of being raised in a single parent home, but then you have my mom, she's on the lower income side, and we're also minorities. And so what she did instill in me though, she said, whatever I would accomplish in school, whatever I did in school, that's for me and that's my life. So she told me, I'm not going to be on your back on your grades. I'm not going to be on your back about whatever it is school wise, because at the end of the day, that's for you. That's your life. And she was like, if you mess it up, that's you. If you do good for yourself, that's for you. And I know that speech doesn't work for all children or all students, but it was enough for me. And in the back of my mind, when I would go through school, I would make sure like, I'm doing this for myself. I'm not doing it because mom wants me to. I'm not doing it because everyone else wants me to do it. I'm doing it because I want a better future for myself. And my mom, she would always tell me she didn't want me to struggle the way that she struggled. And of course, like, it was just a little harder for her too, because she had that language barrier. So I was kind of forced to grow up a little faster too, because here I was, this 8-year-old translator for my mom, you know. Whenever it came to certain things, she was kind of depending on me to be like, hey, what is this person saying to me? So I was growing up in that single family, single parent home. It really forced me to grow up a little bit faster and to really put my best foot forward, I would say.
And you said something very important. You say it would be up to you to not, become or not to allow you being in a single parent home, predict who you'd become as a person later on in life. And, I think that was a sound advice she gave you, to say, whatever you do in school, at the end of the day, it's going to be yours. When you think about that also in a single parent home, you think about the bond. Now, how did that, when you're in a single parent home, one of the positive of being in a single parent home is that you form that close bond with that parent who's in the home. Can you tell us a little bit about that, from your experience? Because you do have some who resent that parent because both parents are not in the home, so someone is usually at fault. One of the parents, sometimes we blame one of the parents. But then on the other hand, the parent who is in the home, sometimes we tend to have that close bond with them. Can you share with us from your experience on that aspect?
Well, I think that's a very good and interesting question. When clearly with my mom being the one who really raised me, because I'm not going to say my dad's not in my life, because my dad, he is in my life, but he didn't raise me.
Right.
He wasn't there for a lot of things. I love my dad and everything, but at the end of the day, he didn't raise me. So I do, in that aspect, compared to my dad with my mom, I know her a lot more than I know my father, because I lived with her my whole entire life. I created that kind of bond with her. But I would say though that even though you would think that the bond would be very strong in a single parent home, for me personally, I don't think it was too strong, just because being that my mom was a single mother, she worked a lot because she had to make ends meet. And a lot of my childhood, I actually remember spending time with other people because she would be working. So she would wake me up early in the morning to leave me with a babysitter or someone to take care of me. And sometimes she wouldn't get home till like 8, 9, even 10 o'clock at night. She would be working all day. So like, I always appreciated what my mom did, but if I'm honest, like at the same time, I don't think we probably created like, I think there's kind of a difference between like a stay-at-home single parent and then a working single parent, because my mom, she had to work and she had to spend time away from me in order to take care of me. So in order to provide, but I would say compared to my father, obviously I had like a deeper connection with my mom because I was with her. And even if you look like, even the way I was just raised, if you look at my brother, he was raised with my dad. If you see both of us, you can see like how even though we are blood siblings, same mom and same dad, you can see how each parent really influenced each one of us to be who we are today. But it did, and I think it's 50-50. Like in a way, it did strengthen our relationship in some aspects, but also being a part of a single family home, it also did put some strain on the relationship because as a kid, you want mom to be there. You want mom to spend all this time with you. You want that, but you don't necessarily get that all the time.
And it's true because I can relate. And I raised my kids for majority of the time, all but 3 years as a single mother. And there are times, and I remember that one week, my kids did not see me for 2 days. No, I saw them, but I would drop them off sleep and I would pick them up sleep because I'm in school and I'm working 2 jobs, trying to provide for them and at the same time trying to improve myself. So as we progress on into the future, I was, better able to take care of them financially. So I do understand that part that we want to be there. And even as a single mother, I remember having one job where I had to go to work. So although my daughter was very, very, very intelligent in school, and she would make all the A's, and she would make, each time they invite us to come out for honors reward, I couldn't make it. I missed all that from first until 5th grade. And that is something, you had to make a choice though, because here I am. If I don't go to work, then I'm not able to pay my rent. I'm not able to provide her with other necessities of life. And so what do I do? Do I go to work or do I, go to the school and sit there and observe, which I'm pretty sure that she would feel so appreciative. She would be so appreciative and she's so proud to see that when her name is called, her mom is, there cheering her on. So it has its pros and its cons, but we don't allow those to keep us at the same level. When you think about being in the single parent home and what theories or social learning theories say, and which is true, the first person we see is our parents. They are our first teachers. We tend to imitate them. How does that apply to you? Were there anything that you imitate from your mom that actually helped you shape your career?
Yeah, definitely. I think that my mom, she's played a really big role in who I am. Kind of as I mentioned before, one of the lessons she taught me was like, whatever I do in school, that's for me. Mm-hmm. And other than that, seeing her and the way she put in the work, and like I mentioned, I never went hungry, never I never didn't have a roof over my head. I mean, I might have taken a few showers with some cold buckets of water. I might have, stuff like that. But I was always taken care of, And what she taught me was how to be a strong, independent Latina woman in America, because I saw her and I saw her, this world was really foreign to her,
Right.
even though she was from Puerto Rico and everything. Like, when she came here, she doesn't even speak the same language, so to see her grow and to see her overcome. I mean, now as a woman, I can ask her like, hey mom, how do I file my taxes? How do I do this? And like before, when I was an 8-year-old little girl, she didn't know how to do that stuff for herself. But it was through the experience and her growing that, I saw how powerful she was as a single woman, and she taught me that I don't need anybody, to be who I am or to become. I can be that person all on my own. So I think that's one of the most powerful things she taught me, among many things, but definitely she was my first teacher, and I greatly appreciate her.
Excellent. Now, what would you say to your peers who are struggling to identify their full potentials, to set goals and work toward achieving those goals?
I would tell my peers to not be afraid to take a chance, If you have a passion, if you're sure about what your passion is, don't be afraid to make a move on it. Don't be afraid to go the extra mile. I think as young people, one of the things we don't really do, I think as young people, we're scared sometimes to do things that no one has done before. We're scared to be the first one to do something, and then another part of it is sometimes we're just not prepared. So my advice to like young people would be to prepare yourself, to find the help, find the resources, get the information you need, and then don't be afraid to take that first leap of faith. And there it is, like having faith, and I think having God at the center of everything is also like a major thing as young people. I think one of the best things we can do is have a relationship with God and trust God and let Him kind of mold our way, because if He brought you to it, if He planted that desire inside of you, if He planted that vision, He's gonna bring it to pass through you. You just have to trust Him, and you have to put the work in for it to become manifest. So I would tell, for it to actually come through, so I would tell young people to find God if they don't know God, and to not be afraid to be different in a world where everyone seems to be the same. Be different. That would be my encouragement to young people.
Awesome encouragement. And as Pastor always say, you can also be that trendsetter.
Yes.
We don't have to wait on the next person to start and then we follow. We can be that trendsetter. Now, this is moving forward talk. So as a young woman, what's next on your career agenda?
So currently, as I mentioned before, I'm an RN. So in August, I would have completed a full year of nursing, and, add a global pandemic on top of that year, but I'm continuing. Actually, next week I start my bachelor's, so I'm gonna continue my education. Although I would say at the end, I'm not sure exactly what avenue I want to take in my nursing profession. What I love about nursing, though, is that there's so many different avenues, so many different options. So I'm kind of excited about it, but one thing I know for sure is I'm going to keep getting the education. I'm going to keep going to school. I'm going to do my bachelor's, and then I'm going to do my master's. But then from there, what I do with that, I'm still kind of leaving it to God, letting God direct me. And because I want to be wherever God wants me to be. I don't want to just be there because I think that's where I should be. I want to make sure that that's where God has for me. So I'm going to keep doing the education. Other than that, I do like, I do have thoughts of maybe starting like something with sewing, because I do sew and I have made stuff for people and stuff like that, but I'm not professional or anything like that, but I definitely want to take classes and do things properly so that I can at least start, like a little business that I can do on the side. So that's kind of like career-wise so far. That's what I've been kind of thinking about. And hopefully, I'm gonna be patient though, and hopefully I'll have, I'll see a little bit of things starting to change and start to manifest here.
And you'll see it as you continue to encourage yourself and work toward it. It will all manifest. So I want to say it was a pleasure to have you join me tonight and to give such a beautiful encouragement to our young people, and continue to do what you're doing. Continue to put God first in your life and let Him lead, and you follow, and everything will fall into place. Stay safe and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and stay safe as well.
Okay, I will. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.